I wanted to start off with a brand new video with the new co-director of the Ag and Food Policy Center, Dr. Bart Fischer. Welcome, Bart.
Thank you.
Bart is well known in ag policy to pretty much everybody, but for those viewers who are going to stumble across this on YouTube or aren't a big Texas A&M fan, you're going to see that he has had some experience from his early days. So I wanted him to kind of go through, where he comes from and how he kind of ended up back here.
Thanks, Joe. It's great to be back on campus at Texas A&M and working alongside Joe at the Ag and Food Policy Center. I'm originally from Oklahoma. I grew up on a wheat, cotton, and cattle farm in the southwest part of the state. Went to Oklahoma State University, studied ag econ, accounting, and finance back in the day for undergrad. Went overseas to Cambridge University in England for my master's degree, and then found my way down to College Station to work on a PhD. That was about 10 years ago. For the last 8 years, was called back to D.C. to work for the House Ag Committee, serving as the chief economist of the committee, working on both the 2014 and 2018 farm bills. During that time, for the last 4 years, also served as the trade advisor of the committee, and then for the last 2.5 to 3 years also served as the deputy staff director throughout the development and passage of the 2018 farm bills. So it's great to be back on campus, to move the family down here. My wife Carolyn and I have got three little ones who we're excited to raise here in College Station and are looking forward to being back.
The last one was born the day the Farm Bill was signed, right?
She was born the day, about an hour before President Trump signed the Farm Bill.
Well, it's really exciting for us to have Bart back. He's one of the better people, just a good person, but he's also brilliant in terms of ag policy. So it's exciting for us to get him back. The big deal for us is we're filling a hole. Dr. James Richardson retired in December, and so we've moved some things around. But between Bart and I, we're going to be the face of the Policy Center for quite some time, and hopefully we'll get to see each of you. If you have questions, you can always call us. It's all over our website, but our phone number is 979-845-5913, and we respond to email and all those type things as well. What I wanted to kind of get into, the sign up for the 18 Farm Bill is underway, and with the deadline being March 15th. And we have built a decision aid as we have in the past, and so we would encourage you to look at that. It's on our website, which is www.afpc.tamu.edu. And it's very simple to find. It's on the top front left, I guess, of the website. It says 2018 Decision Aid. And we have people standing by that can give you assistance if you need assistance with that. And we're going to do videos on that coming up and get really specific on how to use it. But we wouldn't encourage anybody to just say, hey, the coffee shop talk is, looks like PLC is the way to go because ART may not trigger. There's a lot more that goes into it. One of the things we've run across recently was with the bad weather in the Midwest and in parts of Texas for the 19 crop year makes it where there is a question. ART for 1 year, if it's a max payment, could be better than anything we expect to get under either program really the rest of the time. So it's a 2-year decision, and we'll be around to answer those kinds of questions. But in terms of the decision aid, do not, if you don't want to use the computer, that doesn't mean you shouldn't try the decision aid. You can call us or send us your stuff, and we'll have someone put it in for you. And one of us will call you back if that's what you want and explain to you how it works. And if you want to know the ins and outs of why we have the policy we have, well, this guy wrote the last 2 of them, or was a big instrumental in writing the last 2 farm bills. So you can't stump him. I've tried, and it doesn't work very long. One of the things I wanted to do, and this is something where you're going to get to talk a little bit more here, and just go through some of the questions we've been asked. We get lots of phone calls by people who do know us saying, how does this work? And the biggest one is this provision that y'all put in the bill this last time that basically said if you didn't plant a covered commodity from, you probably know the time period better than I do, 09 to 16, and around that frame, whatever it is. But most people will know that they've gotten a letter from FSA by now that says you are not going to be eligible for payments. If you wanted to talk a little bit about the background on why, a lot of people don't understand where it came from.
So part of the backstory on that provision in the bill was that with the improvements that were being made to Title I, particularly to ARC and PLC, and also the increase in loan rates, most of those improvements came with a cost. And so to stay within budget, given that there was no new money for farm policy in this farm bill, we had to look at ways to trim to stay within that budget. And so part of this was also building on the seed cotton provisions in the Bipartisan Budget Act of 2018. Those also had to be paid for, had to be budget neutral. And so we borrowed a provision, albeit it took a little different form in the 2018 Farm Bill, but it was really looking at base acres that haven't been farmed, in the sense that it's mainly been in grass or been idled for the last several years. And so the time frame that was used in the 2018 Farm Bill was from January 1 of 2009 through December 31st of 2017. If that farm, and it's FSA farm number, so this is farm number by farm number, it's not necessarily tract or a quarter section, it is by FSA farm number. If that farm number has been in nothing but grass or idled or fallowed over that time period, again January 1, 2009 through December 31, 2017, if it has been entirely in grass over that period, then it will not be eligible for ARC and PLC. The base acres stay there. All of the the details and information about that farm are maintained on record, but it's just not eligible for ARC and PLC over the life of the 18 Farm Bill.
Right. And when this first came, this provision was, we were becoming aware of it. I was doing meetings, and wrongly so, I need to say that on camera. I said, well, let's wait and see what happens, because depending upon where you end up with things like new and beginning farmers, there might be a small sliver of a chance to bring those base acres back for this, to get paid for this farm bill. But essentially, I've checked with you, and that's not the case at all.
It's not, and I think that's going to be a big discussion going forward in future farm bills about whether these acres are brought back in, if there's going to be opportunity for additional base acres to be brought in the program. There's no question that will be part of the debate next time. But for this farm bill, there's really no opportunity to add new base or to reallocate, and to the extent that the base hasn't been planted, it won't be eligible.
So the big hope, and again in Texas, if you're viewing here, that really this provision is going to hit rice producers along the coast, and then some wheat producers up in the Rolling Plains area, as well as people across the state. But those are the two pockets, and you did y'all's work with the Farm Bill did put in some assistance on those acres. So would you kind of go quick through that?
Sure. So any acre that's impacted by this provision that's not eligible for ARC and PLC will instead be eligible for what's called the Grasslands Conservation Initiative, or Grasslands Conservation Payment, out of the CSP program in Title II of the Farm Bill, administered by NRCS. That's $18 an acre over the life of the bill, $18 an acre per year over the 5-year life of the bill. So up to $90 over the five-year life. And again, it's only that particular program is only eligible for those acres that were impacted by this provision. It's essentially guaranteed. If you're impacted, there are some minimal standards that you have to meet, but it's not like the other CSP program that's much more involved in terms of sign up. It's a pretty simple sign up, and so for a wheat producer, they may actually find themselves in a better spot than they had previously been, because it is a guaranteed $18 an acre per year over the life of the bill.
Good. Now, I was trying to think of any other of the kind of the burning questions people would have for us. Generally, most of the Farm Bill questions we get are on sign up right now, but I don't know if you've answered any that you wanted to kind of go through.
Well, one question, and back to this conversation about base acres that that were unplanted that we've heard about as well. What does it take to actually get tripped up by that provision, or to have your base made ineligible for ARC and PLC? And really it comes down to that land being in grass over the 10-year life of the bill. One thing that FSA has made clear since the Farm Bill was signed as part of the implementation process is that the folks who are going to be caught by that provision are those who've reported it as grass over that time period. And so if there was a lapse where information wasn't reported to FSA, from what we could tell, it looks like FSA has defaulted to saying that land will maintain its base, and they're really only making those acres ineligible where it was actually reported, and it's either grass. There's a few different crop codes that will meet that criteria, but it was really only those acres that were reported throughout that time frame as grass that are actually made ineligible.
Well, over the next few weeks, we will be adding more videos. Kind of like to visit with you a little bit about WHIP and WHIP Plus now that's the name of it. And MFP. MFP is kind of the savior right now. The Farm Bill, the Title I safety net, and the Farm Bill, people ask me all the time, was it good? And my answer is it was really good considering what funds you had to do the next Farm Bill with. We'll be talking about MFP a lot in terms of how it's bridging the gap through this kind of downturn / trade war we're having with China. Also, we'll be coming in and visiting with Dr. George Knopic, who's leading the efforts on hemp for our center. But very shortly, we'll be coming out with a publication on where does hemp look like for Texas, what does it look like, what are the economics of it. And it paints, I think, as close to a real picture as we can get for a state that doesn't have any experience growing this stuff. So we've got a number of different projects going on. I don't know if you have any that you want to discuss, but we will be coming in and sharing that with you over the next year. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.